Sorry, tonight we have several projects on there, and you wanted to speak of something that you had to.
I have a couple.
Okay, good. All right, so first, let's start with Gibbs Garden. Gibbs Garden was on the agenda the other night, for the planning board, gonna be back again. They're down off of Pulaski Highway and Wisniewski Road. They're using a gray field, whatever they're gonna call it, because it's already had a building up there before. There's concrete, on the ground, still a concrete floor is still there. They're proposing to put one building up there to do, onion packing. They're proposing to shut off the access to Pulaski Highway, and I still haven't quite understood that, except for emergency access. And they're gonna plan on having all the access off of Wisniewski. Not that there's anything wrong with Wisniewski, but I'm surprised they're not gonna use that, since it's already in existence.
The access off of Pulaski is actually the house, if I'm not mistaken. So it's more driveways than I would say an access. There's certainly vehicle access, but I wouldn't try to put trucks around that.
Yeah, certainly there's a dwelling right there at the beginning, but they showed some weird, looks pretty wide driveways, and it comes from both directions, so. But whatever, they're proposing not to use it. So I think the only big issue there, we're talking about blocking it off somehow. And certainly the answer to that is, if they're gonna block it off with some kind of gate, the gate should be far enough back that any trucks coming up to the gate are gonna be off the road when they.
Don't get stuck, yeah, hanging out there.
Yep. They also are claiming they're not gonna use any other buildings on the property, they're all just gonna be vacant. There was some bungalows there that are in rough shape.
What's the address?
The address, I don't know, if you go Pulaski Highway and get down to Wisniewski, you'll see it. There are a couple other buildings on the, two dwellings on the property already, and another building, another two buildings, a storage building and whatever. How you doing, John?
Hey, no.
This is probably the man who can tell us more about it than we can.
Are they gonna use the house?
They're claiming they're not gonna use anything, except this building. But we're on Gibbs Garden. Oh, good.
So they did have the public hearing on this,
Yeah.
and I spoke to say that I thought that the proposed, it's a warehouse, and hard for me to say this, but it's the right warehouse in the right location. And for as difficult as it is for farmers today, I mean, I'm not looking to make it any more difficult for any farmer. It really is the right location for it. And as a matter of fact, there was something there for years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except bigger.
Yeah, we belonged to Gratz and others, they were
Okay, yeah.
major.
Any idea how long ago that they dropped the building? I can't remember.
It's more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, first time I ever went down there, I think it was already gone.
So the thing is, on the other buildings on the site, there are a few bungalows that are there. I took a drive by. To call them a building is a stretch. These are what, they're sheds, really, and a good wind would knock them down. And I said at the meeting that I don't know what powers the planning board has, but I would like to see them demolished because they're a bit of a hazard at this point. They're a hazard to wildlife, transients, and it's not like, as Carol mentioned last meeting, they use them for migrant seasonal work, but they're not habitable by any stretch. And to make them habitable, it'd be more cost effective to drop them and put a modular there or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Neil, do you know if the planning board has any ability to say, look, if you're gonna work on this?
They have no enforcement ability. What they can do is they certainly suggest to Frank, and he goes out and look at it, and certainly Frank can, if this is an unsafe building, declare it unsafe and require that it be knocked down.
Once it's knocked down, how long do they have to set the same footprint? A year?
Probably a year, but in all honesty, if they wanted to put this back up again, the setbacks are not gonna be the issue. Usually, the setbacks would be the issue that you're trying to avoid, that you were too close to the road and you can rebuild it too close to the road. In this case, what they're really getting approval for at the planning board is to not have any other uses on the property, because they don't want it, they're not gonna test, the well testing for it. They're gonna, all they're proposing is the use for the onion packing facility, and that's gonna be it.
And there was talk that they're not using any water for washing of produce or anything, so there was really no increase in water usage. And for a number of employees, they were talking about 15 employees.
Right.
But they have their own well.
They have their own well, yeah.
So why would you be concerned that much more about water?
We always worry about water in terms of are they using too much water to impact the neighbors. In this case, it's not, okay?
Right.
But if they were coming in and doing something major, where it was a major water use, then yes, we would be concerned about, is their well use, or water use gonna impact neighbors, so neighbors' wells start to have problems.
Question,
Yeah.
what are they packing or repacking now or packaging, and where does the waste material go that, cause you can't,
Okay, that's, the waste material has not been discussed. What they say they're doing, and they're only doing is onions.
okay,
Because that was a question kind of, right, if I'm gonna wash tomatoes or wash some other kind of vegetables, then I have to worry about water.
yeah, this
But
you don't.
Onions, nobody uses water on onions.
I didn't
But
think about the waste.
the waste, yeah, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Yep.
Because there's always gonna be some, when you're
Yeah.
talking about an operation that size, there's going to be some,
Even onions,
Organic.
and waste onions.
And they work all year round, so they're bringing stuff from other parts of the country
Mhm.
in, that has kind of, could be problematic as far as disease from other areas coming in.
But if they're bringing it in from other places, it's already probably pre-packaged, bagged, boxed.
It's bagged, probably
Bagged.
50-pound bags, and then it depends on what they wanna do with it. They're gonna break it down to make it like 15 3-pound bags like you
Right.
see in ShopRite or,
Right.
but yet, it's gone through something already,
Right.
But yeah, it's the right use for that area,
Right.
on the road, Carol also had a question last meeting about the condition of the road. I looked at it again. I think the road is in good condition, but that's a layman looking at the road. It's in good condition, but I don't know how long it stays in good condition once you start putting 18-wheelers on it. But for now, it does look like it's in good condition, and the sight lines coming onto Pulaski Highway, I thought were decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people flying out there, so coming up on a truck is tough, but sight lines are good.
But I think they already use this to get back to their warehouse in the back further, is it? Don't
They
they,
had,
John?
I don't know, are they still using that? or they-
Last time I was out there, they were still using that building back there.
Okay, so yeah.
So they're already using that for
They're already
18-wheelers.
Yeah.
The road itself, the town is responsible for.
Yes, they are. But there are some roads that we know in town that were never built for heavy truck traffic, and I don't know that this is, but I think they got a confirmation from the highway superintendent saying it's adequate. And I really think it is only because they are going back here.
It's not a black dirt road.
No,
No,
it's
no.
paved.
But I'm sorry, it's not on black dirt, it's on a high ground,
Right.
it's one of the islands, so I think it's in good shape, and as I said,
Yeah,
how long it'll last, I don't know, but it's good to start.
It's
it could be improved, I mean, depending on how much.
Yeah, and it may have to at some point. But anyhow, I think that's it. John, anything else you have concerns out there?
No?
Chris? Carol? Louis?
No, just about the buildings, if they're taken down, they should be aware that they have up to a year to replace them in the same footprint. Otherwise, if they wanna do it 5 years from today, they can't come back and say, well, they used to be there.
Mhm.
Isn't there
No.
a time?
There's a time period that you get this grandfathering or whatever. But what they're really asking for approval for, from the planning board, is not to have any grandfathering of any uses on the property. Not talking about the buildings, but they're not gonna grandfather any of the uses. So the fact that there's two existing dwellings in those, they're claiming that they are not requesting that those be approved at the same time.
Question, what do they do about the office that was Kratzenutter's in the beginning?
Right at the beginning, right? I think that thing listed as a dwelling used to be the office, I think.
It's-
Right.
Yeah, it was the office, now it's
Yeah, right here, I think that thing there, I think used to be the office.
a dwelling now?
They listed here as a dwelling.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that Straxoneri used to use it for their office for
Yeah.
stuff coming in
yeah,
and going out, I think. So let's at least make the planning board aware that thing listed as a dwelling really used to be the office, receiving and shipping.
And at that point, your commercial use versus residential, and the buildings inspector would look at that differently?
He may, but since they're not gonna use it for anything, the only question really left is whether it's an unsafe building or not.
And then, talking about unsafe buildings, we're back to the bungalows, or those
Right.
sheds that are there, and again, that's on Mr. Levitt to decide whether or not he wants to look at that.
Certainly, I would think that somebody should look at it. And I guess otherwise the planning board, I guess, could ask that their engineer,
interesting question would be, where do their existing employees live or reside now? Cause they,
I don't know the answer.
yeah, I mean, if they're living someplace close or whatever,
So this is operational right now?
No, there's nothing there right
no.
now.
There's nothing, okay.
No, there's nothing, I think they may be using the storage building or whatever here.
So when you say existing employees, they got another place that they're using?
Right
or
here.
just
moving
down
here?
the road, yeah, they
Yeah,
do the
right-
same stuff.
Right here.
She's been there for
So they're moving,
10 years or
Yeah, I
more.
think they're
Or
expanding, I think they're
Expanding.
expanding really.
so they're gonna stay there and go here?
I believe so.
Okay.
I have not heard that they're gonna abandon this use. I
She
think-
does a lot of business, she buys a lot of stuff from farmers out there and stuff, she's, you know. She's
Yeah.
good for the area.
Right building in the right place, so.
For the right reason,
Exactly.
yep. Does she grow onions?
I don't know, but I don't wanna
Yeah, okay.
testify.
Not that it's a bad thing, but it probably should not be considered agriculture then, as it's an agriculturally related building, which is not a big deal.
Yeah,
It's still
definitely
allowed there,
agriculture
right.
related, right.
Right. Okay, anybody else have anything on it? Okay, good. The other thing, the next one that we have is Goshen Hospitality. Goshen Hospitality, if you recall, was, or is proposed for 3 hotels. And I think there used to be 3 restaurants and now it's down to 2. Sound right, Grace?
I'm sorry.
No, there were 2, but they
They
dropped,
dropped.
there were supposed to be 2 10,000 square foot, now it's 10,000 square foot and a 6,000
Okay, so
square
it's
foot.
just reducing the size.
Reduce the size.
Okay, so anyhow, they're still proposing 3 and 2. They're proposing a caretaker's cottage, which is always there. They have eliminated all the cottages or bungalows up the top there that they were gonna propose. They eliminated those.
Yay!
And they still have the water storage tank up there. The thing that has changed is that they have to they are not gonna go up as the 4 stories like they wanted to. The ZBA turned them down, and so they're gonna be at 3 stories. But the other thing is that because of that, they are going to expand the footprint a little bit. They're expanding the footprint, they say, only by about 5,000 square feet. When you take off 4,000 square feet for the hotel, for the 1 restaurant, and then use that. So, the hotels are gonna actually expand a little bit on their footprints. Now, what did happen at the ZBA is that the ZBA made a determination that the parking areas in front of the hotels were not an issue because you could not see the vehicles parking in the parking lots from the roadway. And that's based on topography and landscaping.
The same way we couldn't see Legoland.
I remember
I mean,
that.
come on,
No, I remember that.
Wow.
you never see it, you never see it. Sure shit.
I am not disagreeing with what you're saying, Louis, I am telling you that the ZBA made that determination. So that is no longer considered to be an issue for the planning board. Now, there was a question raised that obviously this footprint, or these footprints on this plan, were not the footprints that the ZBA considered when they were looking at that in terms of the parking areas, because the footprints have gained in size on this one. So they were asked to verify that in fact, these parking spaces, and nothing has changed as far as parking spaces for elevation or size or moving closer to the roads. So they're supposed to verify that.
They were planning last week.
Yes, they were.
At planning, they came in with drawings showing elevations that are not available on the town website yet.
Right, I think they should be part of the old one, but
I saw the they're old drawings.
yes,
Which they look similar, the difference being, that the primary difference is that, these are going, instead of being a 2-3 split, these will be, slab on grade, 3-story. So they did away with that bottom story, and this got them to the 35-foot, height limitation because they were
Right.
denied the variance. But to Louis' point, the pictures that I did see, they show old trees and everything in front of the hotels, and I'm sure that in someday,
Yeah.
there will be trees, but for now, there will be
Yeah.
no trees. I mean, right now, you can see the hill. So I would, you're going to see the construction as it's being built, and then it's going to take some time for these trees to come in. I just, to say you can't see it is, that's just not realistic. You're gonna see it.
So you're suggesting that the planning board request another visual study? I think, originally, I think they were claiming that, as far as these over here, a lot of this is gonna be blocked because there are trees in this area here.
Yes,
So that from this roadway coming in, looking at these two, that should probably not be an issue, except maybe right here where you're looking straight in.
okay, yeah.
That's the reason why I think that has plantings there, or supposedly gonna have plantings there.
And then as you come down Chee-Chunk,
Right.
that's, I think more what I'm saying is from Chee-Chunk and the highway, it's like right there, you can't help it, it's just topography, it's right there, you can't not see it, unless you're gonna tell me you're gonna plant a forest in front of these, which developers never do.
No.
And even if they do put in plantings, how many years until they are sufficiently screened? Look, they're 35-foot tall buildings, you're going to see them.
But so that, the question isn't whether or not you're gonna see the buildings, the question is whether or not you're gonna see the parking in the parking lots.
Okay, well, the only way to do that then is you're gonna have to berm it, so that all you're seeing is green berm and then building behind it. But other than that, I don't see how you don't see straight up.
I think, I know what the thought is that the setback from the road and the change in elevation, I don't know what they're doing with the stormwater management area, because that's probably that's gonna be a pond. Right now, that whole property is pretty much sloped, going up.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming that they don't cut down the slope the whole way down and bring the parking down to the level of the road, if they keep the parking as it is 85 feet from the road, it'll be 20 feet or whatever, possibly above the road surface. I think that's what's happening, I think that's what's proposed. However, you have to take into consideration what that stormwater management area, A3 and A2 actually, what that does in terms of changing the elevation of the parking area. Now, I think, for some reason, I think that there's gonna be some kind of retaining walls up front there. That would make, if they dig it out some and then put retaining walls, they can keep the height of it, without having to keep a slope on it.
What is preventing them from moving this building up and putting the parking spaces in the back, and moving this building here and putting the parking spaces in the back?
Nothing prevents them from doing it, it's a question of, it's a question of how when you normally go into a hotel, you enter from the front of the building, and in this case, they would, I think the claim would be that the front of the building is gonna be the part that's looking out over 17 or whatever, and not the back of the building being there. So that if you had to pull around the front and you had the front of the hotel, and all you're doing is looking up at the hill, it's not a very attractive front to the hotel.
And people coming into a hotel are not traditionally gonna
This is
wanna
what they
go
have
on the back.
on the town website, this was the 4-story, and I don't know that that's really accurate. You're telling me, like, yeah, you can make a drawing where you don't show the cars, and I'm not even sure that this is really that important. I just think I get stuck on the idea when the applicant says, no, you're not gonna be able to see that, and we all go, yeah, okay, but then in reality, you can see it. And that kinda,
Why couldn't they put like a line of trees by, Ted,
Yeah.
Ted's place in Chester?
Yeah.
In the house?
Yeah.
They put those trees.
I'm glad you
It
bring
took
that
a
up.
couple, 3 years, you can't see anything and they're beautiful.
Till
They
10
grew-
towers.
Yes,
Yeah.
they grew so tall, but they blocked I was looking at them for even the back of the property where I'm at, where next to those duplexes,
Mhm.
I mean, there were the pools and the kids and this, I could put that line of trees there and it blocks everything. And it only took 2-3 years for it to grow.
The only reason why I'm saying if you move the parking lots to the back, it's how you enter it, that it could be the front of the building. How we look at it is from the side and the back. For instance, Carrot Hill Apartments. There's buildings, everybody parks in the center. The apartments across the street from them, everybody parks in the center, and there's
Yeah.
4 buildings there,
I know.
you know, and it doesn't look bad when you're driving by, but you have to go down the entranceway and there's the main office. So
But
how
that's
they
so
direct the
sec-
cars in here
Yeah,
to be
but
in the
Carriage
front of
Hill
the
is so
building.
secluded. I mean, you gotta go in the road to get into Carriage Hill, it's not something you
Which they
really
can do here too.
would see. I mean, this is gonna be in view of Route 17, forget Cheecham.
But it's not supposed to be if you're supposed to put trees in front of it.
No, the building is allowed to be seen.
Exactly.
Parking
The
is-
car- the parking lot is
You're
not,
gonna wanna see the hotel from 17.
which you will.
You're gonna want to see that.
It'll be closer to the road.
Yeah, and also people that are looking for hotels will be able to see there's a hotel that they can go to.
They're gonna pop it up on their GPS and it's gonna take them to where they need to go. It's not like us driving saying, wow, okay, there's a hotel and
You know,
the GPS tells
that's a
you
very
everything.
interesting point. I just realized that used to, like, you know, 20 years ago, you drive and, oh, there's a hotel.
Right.
Today,
Mhm.
I don't do that. I pull up where's my closest hotel?
Like there
Exactly.
still are a lot of people that come into the area for events, like say West Point or whatever, where every hotel is booked. And a lot of times, if people are going back and forth on 17, if that's new, it will just enhance them getting more people to
How
the
about
hotel.
that new hotel in Goshen? Look it up. Yeah, I get it.
But what does the cars in the front of the building have to do with inviting people in that this is a hotel? It's being labeled as a hotel in the
Well,
building.
as far as I'm concerned, if I'm going to a hotel, I wanna park in the front. I do not wanna go in the back.
But why couldn't you make the back, why couldn't you make the front the uphill side?
Correct. You're still going in the front no matter how you look at it.
But that's weird.
I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just,
No,
we're
that-
having a conversation.
Yes, I mean, if you're gonna put, a grouping of things together,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like a big hill anyway. If you have your hotel, especially on a highway, why on earth would you point it to the woods?
You know, yeah, I agree somewhat with you, but who just said about Carriage Hill and all that? If you turn this one around and that one around, you almost make the center of this here, where you're looking at the restaurant and all that, with all the amenities.
Correct. In a
Well,
way, yes.
Yeah.
But you're still coming off of Cheecham,
Yeah, I know,
so
I know.
either way, you're not coming off a major
This
interstate
is
going into a
the front.
hotel.
face that way?
This, right now, this building is set up to face this way, this building is set up to face that way, this one's facing that way.
What is this, a hotel?
That's, yeah, hotel.
And 17's here?
17 is here, and Cheecham's one's here, and then runs here.
Well, I'm just saying from a logical viewpoint, you know, as far as hotels go. Because there'll probably be some sort of big sign, that says that that's where they are on 17.
There's probably-
I guarantee you they'll get a billboard.
I'll guarantee you that they may not be allowed to, based on our zoning, but they're certainly gonna have that.
Yeah, but further down 17, they'll be able to put a
They might-
billboard.
Or they're gonna
and
put it on at exit 17, you can get lodging,
There you go.
right, there's gonna be that,
You know,
I would guess.
before we get too deep into this, did they not say at the planning board meeting that this was already an approved use and
It was an approved site plan.
an approved
Yeah,
site
this
plan?
has been
yes.
going on for a long time.
And so, at this point, asking them to move a building, they've already approved the building where it is, so we don't even have a say in that, and to suggest otherwise, to say, hey, move the building, listening to them the other day, believe me, they're not gonna do a thing. For instance, Phil Dropkin, board member Dropkin, asked, have you looked at, you were doing this predicated on, Legoland, and them doing 10,000, heads through the door, and, have you redone the numbers to see, if this is still necessary or desirable? And I'm going to say, the applicants were a bit, abrasive in that they said that has nothing to do with what we're asking for. And Phil said, well, it does have something to do because Legoland hasn't hit 10,000 a day, and do we still need this project? And there was definitely some friction. So I'm saying that any suggestions we make so far as turning whatever, they've been approved and they do not seem, they're pretty intransigent. They're not moving off of this plan,
How,
is what I felt,
no, I think you're pretty close to being exactly right. The one thing that was interesting, at one point in time, they were proposing we don't want approval for everything, we want approval for the location of the hotel, but not everything else.
They want it staged.
They want to stage it, and we did, and certainly at that point, I certainly was concerned, because right now we have these pictures of these buildings that look very appropriate.
Yep.
They look like they belong in Goshen,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want them to say, well, we don't want that approved like that, we're gonna bring, each hotel that comes in and says we wanna build,
Yep.
is gonna bring their own presentation as to what the building's gonna look like, and that concerned me.
And you made the point, don't come to us in phases, get it done in one shot, and the board agreed with you.
I think everybody did, in fact, I
Yeah.
think the applicant was also looking at that the other night, saying, well, that may make a lot more sense. And if some hotel wants to come in and build something that looks entirely different, they can take up their own
You
thing.
gotta start all over again.
And there is a thing in our code that says you can't build buildings in town that are recognizable for their architecture.
You can't.
You can't.
So it can't be,
It can't be a brand type architect.
Oh, I see.
it can't be a
have
county building.
It can't have, you can't have golden arches. You can't have things that are, look, the truth of the matter is that if you look at a Home Depot building or a Lowe's
Yes,
and take the name off, you can drive past it and know what it was.
you know what it is.
Absolutely.
Well,
Same thing with a Walmart or whatever else. And so that brand name architecture or that
Yes.
branding like that because of architecture is not permitted in the town ordinance, the town code.
I actually like that, and you can definitely see that in, like, say, Warwick, they don't allow that kind of
Right.
thing. But it's funny, I missed that part, because I've read most of the code, so, okay. That said, these hotels,
That's why I said the other night, we don't want one having two trees out front.
yeah, so what's the IGH hotels, the Hilton, the small?
Yeah.
They're like a boutique hotel, and when you see one, you know exactly what it is. And that does not fit in Goshen. These pictures that they've provided
Yes.
are very nice, the architecture blends very well with, with
It
colonial
did,
type architecture.
and I was really hoping that we're gonna go through with that, and that's what we're approving right now, and
But
hopefully
do they
nobody.
know which hotel chain is?
No, they do not. Well, they're not telling us anyhow, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
They're not telling us which people coming in for the hotels or the restaurants. Now, the other thing that did happen with this change of going lower and the footprints and all that, is that they did say that they are removing, because they're going one story lower, you'd think that they would lose rooms, and they're not losing rooms, because they're giving up, like conference rooms in there.
And the pool,
And the indoor pool and that kind of thing. So they're giving up that, so they can keep the same size, pretty close to the same size footprint, and not lose the number of rooms. Apparently they think that the room number is the important number.
there's the money.
An indoor pool's nice. I think the only hotel around here with that is that old Holiday Inn up in Middletown.
Yep.
So that was an interesting presentation, and they are moving fast on this. They're back on the schedule, next meeting, I believe.
I think so.
Is this the one they were trying to get a joint meeting, planning and zoning? I'm trying to remember. I go to
No,
too many
they
meetings.
weren't,
Did he happen to mention what restaurants they want in there?
No,
Or that's
they
just a
didn't.
footprint too?
You just
No.
took it right out of my head, I was wondering.
no, they have not gone, what kind of restaurants. Some of the issue with restaurants may very well be whether or not 17 is an interstate by that point in time. There are some restaurant chains that will not allow their units to be placed on a non-interstate road.
Really?
Yes. Cracker Barrel being one.
Well, I
It's
think
one that's been brought up, that is one that says it has to be on an interstate.
so many feet from the exit of an interstate.
Yeah,
I could see.
So that means when they come in, you're gonna get what they look like every place else.
no, that doesn't mean that.
Huh?
That doesn't mean that.
No?
It means that they're gonna want us to do that maybe, but our code says no. We have never had anybody push it, but yes, it does say that you can't do that.
I hate to say, I feel as though the current vibe is we could bend that rule a whole bunch.
But actually, I think that would be legislative move and it's not even subject to ZBA, I don't think. It certainly is not certainly is not an area variance, and it's not a use variance. It's a separate part of the code. I think they would have to, we have had one or two other things like that where
So
it's not subject to ZBA changing it,
So the town board would have to legislate it,
Right.
and make it a new,
make it a new legislative thing that yes, you could be.
and I'm saying that I feel a vibe where that may be possible.
It
I'm
could be.
not saying right or wrong, I'm just saying that what
Mhm.
was the status quo
Sure, we
changed
certainly have,
quickly.
we have a different town board than we had
Yeah,
before.
yes, yes.
And what,
Yes, you can talk.
where they stand is up.
Can I ask a question?
Sure,
Why are they building 3 hotels? Why not just build one big hotel?
because that would be massive. I mean, in all honesty, when I count the number of rooms, I'm doing this really fast here, I'm at
They said something
30.
like 344.
332 or something, yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yeah, it's up there. That would be a massive thing, and I really think that they intend to have different,
Hotel
different
chains.
chains of
Kinda
hotels.
like when you go to Middletown,
Right.
where Chili's is, there's a whole bunch of different hotels in there.
So I think they're
Because
trying
I
to,
think that it's useless having a hotel with no amenities. Especially being a new hotel, they're gonna charge top dollar for it.
Well, I think the thing is though, is remember that most of this is driven by Legoland. That's the underlying driver here, and so I think families are looking for, they just did a whole day at a park. They're looking for a place to sleep. They're not, the kids are wiped out. And as I've said this before, some bean counter somewhere in a room has figured out, we need this many rooms at this time in the future, start building it now, because nobody drops $1 million into a building unless they know they're gonna turn a profit. And that's why when they said we're gonna take out the conference room, because they know the money's is in the beds, and that's fine, that's business. But this is why Board Member Dropkin, when he said, hey, have you looked to see, do you still want to do this? Again,
because
some-
Legoland doesn't have the numbers, maybe.
yeah,
It was
and,
approved, what you said, already approved, the site plan,
yes,
but it was approved with the conference room, the spa, the
Yes.
pool.
Mhm.
So now if they're dropping all of that, should
think
the
it was
whole
because
thing
of
be
the height.
changed?
No, well, the answer is, I think that on a site plan, generally, internal structure, internal issues are not a concern of the planning board.
Okay.
You know, whether you have, and yes, they're gonna have something, you know, the little place where you can go and get Danish in the morning and bagels and this and a couple other things like that, and sit there and leave in this room that's probably no bigger than 40 tables or 40 chairs at a time. I think that is, I think, going to be there,
They did
the
say.
thought is it's gonna be there.
and on the other point, do keep in mind, Legoland closed their hotel for 3 months this winter, which the town has definitely felt that financially because they missed out on the hotel room tax. This was, and from what I remember at a board meeting, Supervisor Petro said we did not know that they were going to close. And so there was a shortfall in the budget, and that's not the town's fault. I'm just saying, this is why Mr. Dropkin brought it up to say, before you drop, you know, we're spending a lot of time on something you might not want to do. Again, the applicant pushed back fervently.
It's
and-
their choice, I mean, if they wanna put it in, lose money,
Or
it's up
make
to
money,
them.
John, and I agree with you,
Well-
and I agree with you, on the other hand, I don't want a ghost hotel. And more importantly, I don't want what could easily be turned into high-density housing or rooms for rent to listen,
Yeah,
it's just a matter of time. On the water meal, they talked about, they tried very hard, they thought they were gonna make a deal with the village to use water and sewer, municipal water and sewer, but that did not come through. So they're using, did they call it transient water?
No, it's a transient occupation, whereas it's considered to be a public water system with transient occupancies.
Okay, so it's a water tower.
Right.
They have wells, they'll pump water into their tower, keep that full, and then they have a septic system?
And then they're gonna have a sewer system, yeah. It's going to discharge into a stream and then go out.
And so, and forgive me, but this is where I don't have the expertise in this, but this is, I have a well and septic. Is it just a bigger well and septic?
Essentially, except the issue with this, the bigger well is certainly correct, and then bigger water storage tank is certainly correct, it's the one you have in your basement,
Yeah.
multiplied.
Yep.
The difference with the wastewater is that the wastewater is not going to all discharge subsurface. It's going to be treated, and then it's gonna probably discharge on the surface into a stream that runs somewhere, and I don't know whether it's gonna run over here to the wetlands over here, or whether it's gonna run this way over to the wetlands that are,
That wouldn't require a speedies permit?
yeah, it's gonna require a speedies permit from the DEC. No doubt
Which,
about it.
my understanding, is incredibly expensive and rather difficult to get. is what I've been told.
That's their issue, not ours.
Okay.
Yep, but that is what it is, it will
Okay, well,
require. I
Mike,
think once you get over 1,000 gallons a day, you require it.
well, then this brings up another concern, is that while there's one residence right there on the corner, but the next residence is further down Chi Chunk. Now, if we're gonna discharge water down Chi Chunk to those residences and I want them protected, do we hear about this sewer system later on?
I think we can certainly, I think they certainly have some idea where they think they're gonna discharge. And I don't know what the answer is, I don't
mean,
know.
The bird sanctuary is across the street,
Yeah,
which is that's an environmentally sensitive area. So I can't see them pushing bad water into that.
I think that's probably where it's going, just looking at the, site plan, looks like it's gonna go to this stream down here and then it'll go over
Over to,
this bird sanctuary.
okay. Again, beyond my expertise, I'm looking at this as a layman, I'm looking at I'm protecting my Goshen neighbors. They should not have to put up with, effluent discharge, the system has to be done properly. I assume engineers get this right, but this is a massive project, 3 big
Yeah,
hotels,
yeah,
2
yeah.
I'm sorry to
restaurants.
hear that.
I see what you did there.
No, I agree with you, and I think that certainly it's gonna be a DEC, who's going to review that. And I know that something that big is gonna, but I thought the numbers were 20 or 30,000 gallons a day ultimately.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Eventually, when everything's built.
when everything is built. And that may have changed some too, because taking out the swimming pool, we certainly considered swimming pools in there. And we certainly considered a 10,000 square foot, 10,000 square foot restaurants instead of a 10 and a 6.
Mhm.
So some of that's been reduced, some of the intentional water uses.
They gonna be able to recharge what they're taking out, or?
The answer is no. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So how's that gonna work?
Water tower.
No, what, you are correct. Their property will not be able to recharge everything they're gonna take out of the ground.
But now what about the sewage system for the jail?
Oh,
Which is
that's
right
a whole other.
down? And the 911 center, I mean, that whole big complex right down the road from them, what do they do?
Right now, the well, I'm sorry, the jail sends all its sewage back to Village of Florida.
Are they also getting? They're also
You get
getting
the water from, they
That face
get
was
the water
priceless,
from
wasn't
Florida,
it?
and then they send the sewage back down to Florida.
Yeah, they do get water from
Florida,
Florida,
yes.
but that deal is supposed to end this year.
That is supposed to be changing, and they're supposed to be, at some point, be taking water from somewhere here, or try to get water from somewhere else.
Or, and this goes back
It's
to
either
that.
new wells or somewhere else.
Okay, I haven't seen anything up there drilling new wells, and
They did have wells back here somewhere at one point in time that they drilled and they tested a long time ago and rejected them.
I don't wanna get too far off of this project, Carol, but there was a lot of talk about this, what we're calling the proposed commercial water district, and one of the reasons is the Supervisor Betro said that the jail and the 911 center needed a water source. The line that comes down from Middletown to Amy's Kitchen, it is there. The proposal was that expanding that line and the jail would become a customer of the water district, not part of the water district, which apparently there's a difference. I have asked repeatedly what's going on with that, and I've been told time and again, nothing. There's nothing going on. Nobody's talking about it, nothing's happening. So, it seems to me that we're coming to a head. If they're going to shut this water off, that facility on top of the hill needs a lot of water and a lot of sewer. Now, combined with what is proposed, you need a lot of water into this, and Neil, going back, you're saying they're not going, so they fill that water tower, they draw it down, they have to refill it. You're saying they can't refill it at the rate they're drawing down?
No, what I'm telling you is that the recharge in the ground from rain is not going to match what they're gonna be pulling out of the ground all the time.
Well, then you're in a deficit, so,
Yes,
well, then eventually they turn on the tap and nothing comes out.
no, it's going to come from, it's gonna start pulling from the,
I
land
see.
around it.
We're gonna dry up the bird sanctuary. No, I'm getting you. You're saying it's not just their property won't, but they'll pull in from surrounding property.
Yes, they will,
Which again, we do have some neighbors down the road. You've got the guy right there on the corner.
yes. And
This is worse than I thought.
and the answer is that, they did the well testing, and when they tested these wells at the amount they had to test it at, it did not have an impact on the wells, on neighbors' wells,
Okay.
that were, the ones that were being monitored. The statement was made that, well, there's so much land in the area, in the neighborhood here, that is never gonna get developed, and therefore, the recharge can be taken from those lands. Being Route 17 is never gonna get built on, and so it's not gonna use water there. And the bird sanctuary and the wetlands there and the wetlands up, all that,
So
all
there's-
those lands that are not gonna be,
They're sticking a straw in the ground and they're pulling water out and it's coming in from other properties around that weren't gonna be built on anyway.
that's the
Okay.
explanation that was given.
Okay, I mean, the biggest one I see again is the bird sanctuary, which I've seen that water high and low throughout the years, and it's been low the last couple of years, so pulling a lot from that, I mean, I'm not a bird guy, but it's there for a reason, it's a sanctuary, and eventually that just becomes dried up
That's correct.
swamp. Well, I don't think that's a good thing.
No,
I don't disagree with you at all. However, we're beyond that at this point in time.
Yeah,
in the
okay.
approval process. But it was a discussion somewhat, and the discussion really was that there was enough land around there that will never be developed in the future, and therefore, it's not gonna be an issue.
Question,
Yep,
you talked about the jail becoming a customer of the water district. Is there a limited amount of customers that could be, or could those customers extend all the way down 17M?
the answer is that the town has not established a water district yet. And so there is no water district to be a customer of,
Okay.
nor are the boundaries of the water district, they have not been determined either.
Okay.
Okay, so we have no water district out there. We don't know what the limits are. We have had some maps or plans that show roughly where the possible water district would be.
And they've changed a bit over the years.
They have, and at one point in time, there's a question about whether or not they might be able to hook up BOCES on Gibson, because BOCES could use some water. And there was a question about whether or not Goshen Hospitality might be able to use it. And then, the two other projects we had done, we have on, we have Lucas Spencer areas, whatever that's called there, where it's gonna be
Yeah, right.
mixed use, and then we had, the other, short-term stay.
In the back.
We had the short-term stay one there, right next to, Lucas. That was gonna be a possibility, they have 50 or 60 rooms there. And then RDM and, others. So
The,
there's a number, certainly, Millmark could certainly, I think, use it too.
Aren't they building more in the back?
Yes, they are, and they have a problem with the water, they do ship in water sometimes.
you know, like all of us here, I've been in the area forever, and the first time I actually heard about this water district probably goes back 17, 18 years ago. And at the time, it was determined that it was not economically feasible to put this pipeline in. I guess some things have changed, but this new idea came in the late 2023. I followed it all the way through 2024. I have asked repeatedly, hey, where are we on this? Last I heard, the town is approximately 66 or 67,000 into looking at this. They then approved an additional $20,000 for a lawyer to develop the site, and that was just at the end of 2024. And then I asked again just 2 months ago, and I was told by 3 board members, there's nothing to be said. There's nothing happening, nobody's talking about it. You keep asking that about it, but there's nothing going on, we've heard nothing. And yet, you know, again, the jail is gonna be starved for water, this project coming up, so it's,
And at one point in time, when Hughes was being talked about, Hughes Energy was going to need, have full build-outs, over 20,000 gallons a day.
who's paying for it and how that all gets done, it's amazing.
It's pretty simple, if you think about it.
Tell me.
If you need the water, you pay for it, not you, me.
Well, that's the idea,
So-
that's the idea, is that the water district actually has to pay for it itself.
For the people who need it.
So I'd have to get back, I'll get.
That's not necessarily the way it goes, Louis.
I know it's not how it goes, but that's the way it should go. I don't have to pay for your business to succeed.
I
Well, by law,
understand what you're saying.
By law, they can't, nobody outside the district can pay
No,
for the district.
that's not what Louis is concerned about. Louis is concerned that if you are within the water district, then you don't need their water.
Yeah, and then we were told that the board, absolutely, you will be forced to join the
Exactly.
district. You will
That
be
almost
forced.
always happens in all water districts because we, in general, do not want outside water
Yes,
coming out of the water, or, yeah.
Yep.
That is generally how it works, though the town board has gone up and down, it's, well, no residential is gonna have to hook into it, or this, that, the other thing. It has not been proposed in any real solid form.
to finish that, there's a sewage treatment plant from the state hospital on 17M, and the town was looking into procuring that as their waste disposal. The New York State Hospital has decided that rather than fix that 60-year-old plant that's never been upgraded, they were just going to build pipes and ship to Middletown. At the town board meeting, we were told, they were asked, hold on, Goshen may buy it, and then you'll become a customer of Goshen. But again, when I asked what's going on, I'm told nothing. But this project brings the waters right front and center once again. How are they going to do this? So on this project, Neil, so far as I'm concerned, I would really like to make sure that Goshen is protected, its water source is protected, that whatever these, the recharge you're talking about, that we're not destroying the bird sanctuary or the neighbors. There aren't many neighbors, but those surrounding.
I agree, and however, I think we're at the point where this has already gotten approval to do their water the way they're talking about. And that's been accepted that way by the planning board.
Right, is there anything that the planning board needs from us on this project then?
I guess the main thing is we can express our concern that the amount of water being proposed to be used off of this site exceeds the recharge and therefore is not sustainable over time.
That is exactly what I'm thinking.
So, parking lot,
Yep.
where's all the water gonna go when it rains?
It's gonna go to,
Down the pipe?
yeah, it's gonna go to area A, area 2, area 3, and there must be an area 1. I must say, I don't see area 1 right now, but there's gotta be an area 1.
So what happens with all the salt?
All the salt, probably is gonna go in there.
Probably.
They have no plans to do anything else that I know about, Louis. And it's a good question.
That's an awful lot of salt on that large of parking lots all the way
Yes.
around.
You're right. So, once again, we were suggesting, and I think it's too late. It has already been decided that it can be done this way. And, but we can suggest our concerns, or we can express our concerns about the impacts of salt on the overall watershed.
And especially pushing it into the bird sanctuary.
Yep.
Save these hurdles.
But then
I'm
what
not,
happens when it fails?
yeah, that's,
When it gets too salty?
No, when it fails, like they don't have enough water, the sewage isn't working, then what happens?
Well, that was gonna be my question before. If Florida already told the jail, you're being cut off, here's Goshen saying, go here, go there, and then what happens when they get cut off? Goshen's liable again.
Who's liable for what?
Isn't Goshen liable for it?
For what, for the jail?
No, the jail is, it's gonna be cut to the jail come next month,
Yes.
you said.
Well, they said this year.
That's, the proposal that it's supposed to
So
happen.
now everybody I'm hearing say, let's go to Middletown, let's go to Middletown. What if Middletown says, okay, Goshen, you have no more water?
Yes,
for
and
your
they
place."
can, and that's one of the concerns is that Middletown has certainly said that they cannot go unlimited, and they are not necessarily guaranteeing any more water than what Amy's was asking for.
So my point is, why do we keep on saying yes to projects like this if there's no guarantee of water or sewer at that point? And then to put businesses who don't wanna be on that district,
We're
we're jeopardizing their businesses.
we're jumping ahead on the
One of the
water
problems
district. There is no
is
water district, there's no,
It's already been.
formal
done, so
proposal
we're
for
kind
it.
of closing the door after the horse is gone.
Yeah,
They're what?
they've already approved this
Yeah,
plan.
so we're beating up something that,
But we are, we're not. They came in front of us how many years ago, and since then, other projects have come in. So now you're not gonna get your sewer and your water because other projects came in and that need the water. This may still not be developed for another 10 years.
and
Who knows?
You're absolutely right, and the issue is though, that it was given approval, and therefore it's first in line.
But with approvals, don't they get, every 2 years, they gotta be, in front of us again?
Yeah.
didn't they seem like they were ready to go?
The other night,
But
they
if
seemed like
it's
they
10
were,
year- when was the last time they were in?
Well, they
Last
had to
week.
change everything.
Well, no, from the
before that,
beginning.
I don't know,
Probably
they-
over
was a couple
a
years
year,
ago.
Yeah.
close to 2
a year or two
years.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many times,
When the whole
what is it,
thing
every
went
year
on.
they
This-
have
this
to do
one-
the permit?
This one was last revised, in 1/23. This site plan,
Okay, so every year they have to renew the permit?
no.
From, my understanding is from the time that they get a plan approval, they have 2 years to submit building
building
plans.
permit, yeah.
That's why they're in front of us now.
Yes,
3 years.
so as Carol said, right now, I think they're looking to move. That this isn't, they can't drag this out a whole lot longer. Once they get that approval on the plan, it starts the clock.
And I think they really, the other day, for the first time ever, they really sounded like they intended to start construction of something soon.
Their biggest hurdle was the height.
Yes, and they've given up, they didn't get it,
Yeah, they didn't get it,
and
so.
they've revised.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was, can we really get sewer and water from somewhere else? And the answer so far has been no.
Well, then, you know, what you said before about, you know, I do have a concern for the amount of water they're gonna be using and what will be the detrimental effects of the surrounding area based on this plan.
And I think that the planning board has already considered it, and said that it should not be an issue.
You're gonna have 300+ rooms there, right?
Yep,
That's
332 was all I got, yes.
Where's all that stuff gonna?
Where's the water's gonna come from there, and it's gonna go through the stormwater, or through the wastewater treatment plant. and then
So
be
it's gonna be
discharged.
like a tertiary level?
I would think it's gonna be a tertiary level, so that theoretically, it's almost drinkable.
Yeah.
And the intention is that, probably the stream that it's gonna be discharged into is going to be intermittent, in that the only flow in there is gonna be from this at some points in time.
Yeah.
Okay, we keep on talking about the hotel with water, what about the restaurants, how much water?
It's all in there, the whole project had the numbers. So the whole and I forget the numbers off the top of my head, Louis, it was somewhere between, I thought between 20 and 30,000 gallons per day. May have been more than that, I forget the numbers. Was it more than that, man?
I would think a restaurant would
Yeah.
use old.
Oh, sure, and it depends on what kind of food they cook and everything else. But yeah, whatever the number of gallons that they were gonna use, it's already been considered for all the hotels and all the restaurants. And actually, at this point in time, I really think if we looked at it again, the amount of water being proposed to be used now has probably diminished, because we have a slightly smaller restaurant, we have no cottages up there, and we have, no swimming pools
And then no conference room.
and no conference room. So they're not gonna have wedding, banquet, or whatever, or business conferences there. There's no business meetings, no weddings or anything like that, no functions. So theoretically, some of that stuff, some of the water usage is going to be less than what was considered.
Who's theory? Because you can have a large chain restaurant that gets 5 customers a day, or you can have a little Elsie's that's busier than hell
Yes.
and needs 3 times as much water.
I
So
don't-
what are they basing it on without having the names or anything?
They're basing it on square footage,
The amount of tables.
square footage
everything.
of the restaurant and what's the average for a restaurant. And
Okay.
the average for a restaurant is nothing more than the average. Some are higher, some are lower, we know that. But we use an average when we look at it.
Okay.
It could go wrong. I mean, we could be much higher, we could be much lower. Look, one of the big things, when it comes to sewage is, dairy products. Ice cream stands and yogurt places stink when it comes to, water, wastewater. They're horrible users. But that's the way it is. I mean, so we consider on average that these 2 restaurants and these hotels are gonna be like that. That's the average, you know, just like we know that in hotel rooms, the average water usage X, whatever that X is, per bed or whatever.
And over a certain time, these numbers do prove out industry.
Yeah,
If it's used the way they're planning on putting it.
There's
Yes.
always an outlier. There's a, it's
Sure,
roll
I know,
the dice,
that's
I'm
where
not
I'm going
disagreeing
with
with you,
this.
I'm not disagreeing.
That's where I'm
sure,
going.
and the other thing is if they end up doing a heck of a lot more landscaping water usage.
Yep.
Which theoretically goes in and then comes out. There's more recycling of that than there is in the wastewater,
Okay.
okay? All right, the other thing we had, let's go with, actually, I just, an update for you. We had, in front of us at the planning board, we had 6 and 8 good gumwood. 2 houses that were in the floodplain and they were in the wetlands buffer. And, they went to the ZBA who gave them an interesting variance that seemed to give them a variance to do pretty much anything they wanted to. And didn't really give any limits, which is it was an unusual variance in terms of it seemed to give them everything. And in all honesty, the attorney for the town board or for the planning board agreed with that, as it was expressed by the applicant's attorney. So what ended up happening at the end of it was that the applicant withdrew his application in front of the planning board, and it's going to proceed with just Frank looking at it when he gives out the building permits.
It was crazy.
Yeah. The only real variance that they got that made some sense is, we have a law that when you're gonna develop a piece of property, you must be able to get out of the property without going down into the floodplain. And in this case, Gumwood does flood. In fact, Gumwood floods all the way up to Wedgewood. I've seen it myself. So what they would got a variance from that they do not have to raise all of Gumwood up 2 or 3 feet to get back to Wedgewood. It would raise that up enough to get out.
But 6 and 8, the lots themselves, they're gonna raise the house 3 feet and 5 feet respectively to keep the slab itself of the house up out of the floodplain. So the idea is you gotta go down into the water to get back up into
Right.
the driveway up to your house, so that's.
Or you're gonna park like that, you're gonna park on the driveway which is in the floodplain, whatever it is. But yes, the houses are gonna be raised up out of the floodplain.
But back to, as you said, and you know, Kelly Norton has now, she's taken a job at the county, so she's no longer our planning board attorney. And the new attorney, name escapes me, I'm sorry, but he was a bit dismayed to say, I've never seen anything like this. What essentially the zoning board did was just give them a blank check. There were 3 different, usually you'd have these 3 different codes, you'd modify each one with specific distances, setbacks, et cetera, and they didn't do any of that, they just wiped it clean. So much so that the applicant, as you just said, doesn't even need the planning board, now it's just a building approval from the buildings department. Yeah, I know, that look that you've got, believe me, we all sat here dismayed saying, wow, that really
It's
happened.
started the planning board, I mean, it's the way it went down and that's the way it is. Wow.
even I was sitting here like, did he really just say that? Nobody's going to like say that's not supposed to happen?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but it happened, and the lawyer did it, and that's it, and that's all.
Yeah.
So,
I suspect there's gonna be a conversation going forward to, I hope there's going to be a conversation going forward with the planning board attorney,
okay.
and the ZBA attorney to get that resolved. Okay, but that is how so that was just an update, for you. Okay, that was 6 and 8 Gumwood. Last thing we have is, the,
Liberty Solar.
Liberty Solar. Okay, everybody knows that's, Liberty Solar's up there in the back of, what is
Anything
the house?
trail or?
Yeah, in back,
Autumn Trail.
Autumn Trail and all that, yeah.
Milburn.
Let's say Kitty Hill. That's the thing to say. But anyhow, yeah, so this is behind there, and the biggest problem going right now, the only real thing unresolved, is the, visual impact of the system. And they've been going around and around on that, and they really, have been working on it. So they have, the visual impact from all there. One of the certainly discussions, and Carol, you brought it up on this last one, about the planting of the trees, because they said, well, we're gonna plant these trees 10 foot apart, and they're gonna grow really fast, and they're gonna go really tall. What they didn't tell us was that they're not gonna grow together, you know? And so, you great, you have a 20-foot tall tree or a 30-foot tall tree or whatever, and it only goes 5 foot wide at the bottom. It doesn't do a whole bunch for that. And you're right, 10 Talmadges was when I saw that. You ever know what 10 Talmadges?
No, where's this?
Right, if you
You
go
go
on
down
17 and,
17
go ahead.
Going towards Tractor Supply,
Yeah.
there's that beautiful farm
Yeah, I know.
there.
The one on the hill.
Ted Talmadge's,
Yeah.
well, the house that they refurbished, the original family house and the house in front, they put a row of pines, I don't know
No,
what
it's
those,
not, it's
like
not pines, no, I
arborvitae.
think it's more like the arborvitaes.
Yeah, arborvitaes, and they planted them all the way down, like around, and in the past couple of years, they've grown tall and beautiful and filled in. You can't see anything, and they're gorgeous.
I'm gonna check that out. I haven't been
Yeah,
down
they
there.
have
It's
it along the one
total-
side and along the roadside. And it really, Carol's right, I mean, I think they really planted them closer to, like,
Mhm.
nearer to 5 foot apart and staggered rows.
Yeah, really, really nice.
But that is done the way it should be done.
Mhm. And they grew fast.
Yeah, they are fast growing. We put some at our house, and they supposedly grow 2 to 3 feet a year at some point. Ours haven't grown quite that fast, but they're getting there now. So you can put in 6 or 8 footers in a limited number of times. But the big question there is gonna be spreading out. That's the biggest issue with it, because those are not like that.
You know, I think the other thing that I wanted to ask is, I remember in the spring, they talked about doing photos, they wanted, the board wanted photos of these.
Photo
And
simulations.
they wanted them before the trees bloomed, they wanted it. And, then they didn't do it, and by the time they got around to it, they said, hey, how about these photos? And the applicant said, well, the leaves are on the trees now. And I remember Sean Hoffman saying, yeah, well, we told you before. And also, Mr. Hoffman made the point, you know, this has been going on for years, I don't see what the big rush is now.
Right.
Yeah, it was kinda nice to hear. But, so we're not getting those photos then, is that the case?
For some reason, I thought they did provide them last time, but I'd have to confirm that. You remember, Grace,
Which photos do you need, I'm sorry?
Liberty Solar?
Liberty Solar, didn't they provide an updated solar, pictures?
I'll look for it right now.
I know they did a lot of renditions, which they look very nice on
Yeah.
a computer, but you can do anything on a computer. So is that the only thing holding them back at this point, Neil, is
The visual, I think, is the only thing holding them back.
But they're worried about the visual from what angle, and
Actually, there were a number of angles.
because from the actual Reservoir Road, I don't think. you can
Reservoir,
see
you're never
anything.
gonna see anything, no.
It's not Reservoir, it's Milburn side,
Yeah.
where the main part of it's going to be.
Uh-huh.
You come in from Milburn and go back to
Right.
Orchard Trail or whatever it is.
Yeah, so-
There's a residence directly across the street from it, actually there's a couple of them.
Well, you have all those little intertwining roads in there, you have
Right,
veterans,
but
storms.
Vetri, yeah.
That's going up, but you won't see it from, I don't think you'd see it from Vetri, cause this house is there.
Mhm.
The main part was, Northgate.
Yeah, Northgate is.
Northgate is where they wanted the view from.
Oh,
And
North is across the
because-
street, or is it,
No, it's across the,
It's-
it's across the road, field here.
oh,
It's across the field, it's
Yeah.
off of Reservoir Road, but where it meets 17A. That's where Northgate is.
okay.
Here's that, and then here's Northgate right here. So they're looking across that field over to it, really.
It's gonna be, big, right?
The array is huge, right?
Yeah, and it's really close to the residences that are on Millburn.
Oh,
From the.
There's actually one residence right next door to it,
Right.
for Remy's house.
So the question we have, and I don't know the answer, I should, and
They couldn't have given the pictures yet, because the last time they were here, everything was in bloom already. So they need the pictures,
Mm-hmm.
they said that basically they had to wait till November.
And that's what,
So,
Okay, let's raise the question, I think that's the big
Yes,
question.
that was, I remember that as well.
and then
So,
Sean said, hey, if you,
Glare analysis on the 21st, they discussed, I haven't received any pictures from them since June.
All right, so that, unless they did it last year, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still looking for those.
Yep.
Anybody else that want us to comment any more on this?
Mhm.
But they did a lot of review stuff, 128 pages worth.
oh yeah. But the one thing that the board asked, but it didn't supply,
And that's-
which I thought was kind of odd.
That's not so surprising.
What's it take to go out there with your iPhone and go click, click, click?
that plus what you said with the trees for the houses, there's what, Linda's, Libby's?
Well, that's on the Millburn side.
Right,
And
that's where
Autumn
it's
Trail
gonna
and
be right
everything
across
else
the
is-
street.
Once the leaves are down, they're gonna see that. That's what they wanna see, right?
Mary's
What's
house
gonna
too
be
is down
seen
the other side of it.
from all those houses up there.
There's a
Once
lot
the
of wet
trees are
spots
clear.
there too.
Yeah, within the project site, yeah.
I don't know if they're going all the way down or just what was, Martin Knopf's property.
I think they have, I think they
There's an
showed,
empty lot between, where Martin farmed and there's a house all the way at the end, not a rent's house across the street that they redid.
here they're showing quite a bit of wetlands in the project site itself. These dark areas are all the wetlands within this project
Let's
site.
see, where are we? Here's Skolza.
Yeah.
So this is Millburn? No, this
This
is.
is Millburn right here. Millburn right there, Skulls are right there, this is Moonlight
So-
looking down.
Skolza, so Fermi's house would be about here.
No, nope, not there. Maybe here, right there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And there's another house down
Yes, there is.
Here.
Yep.
this area in here, next to the house, was a vacant lot. I don't know who owns it, if that was part of Martin's, but that was really wet.
Yeah, it looks like this part right here. This is wetlands right here, that whole thing.
We used to walk here all the time.
How many feet are between this, I guess?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
it's,
They
I wanna say it's
probably go
about
up
7
to
or
the
8.
road.
No, it's more than that. It's, you can drive down in between these arrays.
By, not by a lot.
No, but I'm saying a fire truck can come down there, driving straight.
Drive it real straight
Because if
and
you look at
fast.
the ones over there on Dykeman Drive, McEwen's, you
Yeah.
can't get a vehicle in between there. So if everybody else has to be separated to make sure that a fire truck can get in there, where's the 12 foot in between? I have to
Yeah.
put 12 feet between my whole
Yes, you
spots
do.
for a fire
Yeah.
truck, right? So why aren't they there on that big of a span?
And the answer is I don't know off the top of my head, Lou, you're asking the question.
It's a question to ask them.
Yeah, no, I agree, and certainly, looking to see if whether some of these are raised here.
I do remember that, so far as the number of panels that are in there, at one point, the board suggested that they forego a small section because, the glare study showed that it was gonna be terrible on this one knoll. And, the applicant said, no, we need every panel in here to make it viable. And I was like, really? Like, 10 panels was gonna make a difference on a field that size? I was really surprised they said that. So I imagine they're gonna make these as close as possible, they're jamming everything in there.
My point exactly.
I don't see it right.
Now going down by August,
I don't
you've
see it
got
right
people
now.
down
I
there
think we've
too.
seen
I
what the
mean,
distances are, and I don't know if they're.
That's Storms Road, that's what Matt lives,
Well, like
and
you
that's
said, if you look
back
at
at his house, you can get into those
Like that,
fields.
right,
Q1.
so it goes pretty
Okay.
far, it goes all the way
Yeah,
up
if
that
it's
way
a truck
behind
there,
V Tree.
Or a brush truck, maybe ATVs, maybe.
Let's ask about fire department access with, in between, it should be documented. Okay,
That is really big, I didn't realize that it went all the way down. whole
anything else on
length of each
on
tree.
this? Now, the other one, the only other one that was interesting is, it was coming up next meeting for the ZBA, is all in audio. I don't know if anybody remembers, all in audio is Gerda
Oh, wait a minute.
down there off of, and what they wanted to do originally, they were gonna just use the, commercial part and get rid of the, housing. Then they decided they're gonna keep the housing, and to keep the housing and water, the water's there, Department of Health is going to require that they upgrade the system, the water system for that housing, really. And so, the original approval by the planning board said that, they had to go ahead and they had to have Department of Health approval for the water system prior to the signing of the plans. And the Department of Health will not approve the water system until it's installed. So it's kind of a round robin kind of thing, that until they install it, they can't get approval, so they can't get the site plan signed. So what they came in to do really was to ask the planning board to modify that somehow, so that they can go ahead, get the site plan signed, and then do the improvements on the water district, or on the water system, and then get the approval from the DOH on that, and then be able to use everything. I think that they're going to do that based on I think they're going to take a building permit out because otherwise there's no way. They're gonna take a building permit out for the work that's gonna be done on the water system, and consequently, they will not be allowed to, get anything, to use the whole thing, whatever, until the CO for that is, or CEOC is approved by the building department.
The water system, what about the condition of the apartments and stuff
The
like that?
condition of the apartments, that's a separate issue, and Frank will have to figure that one out.
And these people, these are gonna be people that are gonna be working there? or-
These are people, actually, these are people who are living there right now.
Oh, okay.
Apparently they've lived through the whole thing, and while we're reviewing it,
Yeah.
so apparently there's enough income off of that, that all of a sudden they decided to throw that back into the system. Okay? So the intention was just to be able to allow them to move forward, and not be held up by this thing where they couldn't get the site plan approved until the system was approved. So I think that's gonna go forward that way. Anybody have concerns with that?
Are they using the facilities there, or the buildings?
I think the buildings, no. I think they're using the housing, yes. However, I don't know. Anybody go down there, way to know the traffic? I haven't.
Yeah.
So I think that they are not using the buildings for, anything commercial. But isn't some of that they were gonna do engraving there or something too? I just vaguely remember something about engraving.
It's a lot of money to tie up and then not be able to use the buildings for any kind of,
That's why if they can get the site plan approval, then they can go ahead and use the buildings while they're doing this over here, and then they can guarantee they're gonna fix this by
yeah.
having the building permit.
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay? Chris, you're up.
There were three things that came up at the zoning, the zoning board meeting September 2nd. The first, the battery energy storage system at 114 Hartley Road. If you'll recall, they need to separate out two parcels off of the current landowner's property. And I believe I heard this was for tax reasons. That's all I heard. It has something to do with the money tax reasons, that they had to be separate parcels. In order to do this, they are asking for 4 variances They are required to have 30-foot setbacks on the 30-foot setbacks on the properties, and they're asking for half of that, 16 and 17 feet. And the bigger one is that the road frontage, for each buildable parcel, you have to have 200 foot of road frontage. Because these are essentially landlocked parcels, they have no road frontage, so they're asking to eliminate the 200 foot per parcel required. They are also requesting the joint public hearing with planning, and they expect to wrap up seeker in October. So this, as we said, the meeting before, the one before that, this thing's moving at light speed. So with that, they are asking for these variances, and I'm not so sure, I'm more terrified that this sets a precedent, first of all. So far as doing away with the road frontage, who else, hey, I'd love to not have to deal with 200-foot road frontage. And then the setbacks on sides and rear, how does that affect the surrounding neighbors? Now, we know the property out there, and there's O&R owns the one side, and it's just vacant land on the other side. But they will be they are asking for these 4 variances. And I have a concern with I don't have a concern with the location, because there's very few people out there. I have concern with the project as a whole, but the location, the variances don't really bother me, but the precedent really, really concerns me, to just wipe away 200-foot road frontages. Do you have any more information on why they need these separate parcels?
I think it has to do with, I know that when it comes to solar, they are not allowed to exceed a certain threshold of electricity or whatever before on one parcel. That's why Liberty Solar is 2 separate parcels. They do a subdivision, and they have this one here and that one there. We had that down off of Pulaski Highway. We had that also where they had to divide up 2. I suspect it's that reason is why they have to have the 2 separately.
So
there is no, just in terms of that whole parcel doesn't have 200-foot frontage. The only frontage for that whole parcel is about 35 or 50 feet right along the road.
the entrance.
And that's for the whole thing, and that was really based, that they got through on that based on the fact that it was pre-existing non-conforming for that lot,
Yes.
for TAM. This is entirely different.
So there's the law and there's the spirit of the law. I've said before, if you're sitting at a stop sign and you can see both ways, and before you come to a complete stop, the guy behind you is texting, and you just floor it and you blow through the red light, the stop sign, to avoid an accident, did you really break the law? Well, technically, yes, but you didn't break the spirit of the law. The sign was there to not have an accident, and you kept an accident from happening. Likewise, I say, when you need 200 foot of road frontage for a buildable lot, I have to ask, why does that law exist? We're trying to protect Goshen, we're trying to protect our neighbors, we're trying to protect our way of life. We're not looking for, high-density village lots, right? We're in the town. So, can we will the town issue this variance based on, I just want it? And that's what I'm feeling, is I just want it. So, my suggestion, you gotta come to me with something more than, I just need it, I just want it. And I haven't seen the applicant say anything other than we're asking for this variance. Is there?
Anybody cut? In general, variances should be given based on the fact that there's something unique about this property that makes it so that it can't be done any other way,
Exactly.
okay? And it's unique, meaning there's no other parcel around like that. Is this unique in that it can't get 200 foot of frontage for each parcel? Absolutely, because there isn't 200 foot of frontage to divide up. I mean, at this point in time, you need 600 foot to make all 3 of them compliant. So we're not gonna get that. But certainly, there may be other ways to look at it, and certainly, you could talk about whether or not you can put a road through here, whether a private road or, we don't want a public road, but we could have a private road and have a shared roadway in that now some of this through there is gonna be designated road and therefore marked somehow that people don't park it or block it or whatever else, so that there is forever access to these other two parcels.
But how do we get to a point where this is an existing code and the applicant comes in, knows the code, and just says, we're gonna do it anyway?
No,
We'll just
we get that all the time now, because they do come in and expect that. We've had that with others, where, hey, we know that the code is 35 foot or 45 foot high, and we want 65 foot. People do come in and just assume they can get it, or that because they want it, not because of anything unique to it, but that's what they're asking for. And the ZBA has to make a determination as to whether or not that's justifiable.
It really feels to me that they're stuffing a 5-pound bag with 6 pounds, because this doesn't fit. It doesn't fit due to the, they need variances from setbacks, they need variances from road frontage. Looking at the parcel, look, if you buy an open lot, you buy a field, it's got your road frontage, you wanna put it in there and go for it, you started off knowing that this thing won't fit. But if there's no reason not to do it, then fine. But I am looking at the surrounding neighbors that do live on Cheechunk. I am looking at, the reasons for the 200-foot road frontage, and that reason, to my mind, is to keep the space open. We don't wanna put, you want, in other words, there's a beautiful piece of property that I've been looking at, but in order for me to do anything with it, I have to make it a subdivision. I don't have that kind of money, but it doesn't have the road frontage, and that keeps people from putting 5 houses in this one area. Likewise, this has no road frontage. This project, it didn't fit there to begin with. I'm just bringing it to your attention. I'm saying this is the variances they're asking for, and I don't know that as the ERB we have a suggestion, but Chris Healy, as a resident of the town of Goshen, says, protect us, protect our future, and you can't just give a variance because somebody wants it. It has to be a need that the applicant did not force upon themselves. And that's one of the questions, right, when they give the variances?
Sure, but it can be something that's self-created. And it doesn't mean you can't do it because it's self-created. But it's also supposed to be, can it be achieved in some other viable way?
Okay.
That makes it so. And certainly I think you're allowed to have subdivision on a private road. And use that as, that becomes the road frontage. I don't know whether they want to. I also understand, I think, last time I saw this, read this, was that they're planning on doing this subdivision and having these 2 parcels in the middle, and yet it's still gonna be held by the same company or whatever.
Well, New Leaf is,
I don't think they're gonna own it.
they're not gonna own it, they're going to sell it.
They're gonna lease, no, I think they're gonna lease the land from TAM.
Yes.
Lease it, not sell it,
Right, but
so all 3 parcels were gonna be owned by TAM, but these 2 are gonna be leased.
but then
Am
New
I
Leaf,
correct, or, am I correct?
As far as I know.
Okay.
but then New Leaf will turn this project over.
Sure, New Leaf is not gonna be the developer of the projects, 2 projects, that is
Well,
correct.
initially, why wouldn't they just have all the lots in one and then just lease out those things that they're gonna build on?
Because for some reason, as Chris said, there's a absolute need, probably to get funding from, NYSERDA or something. They need to have an absolute need for those to be on a separate tax parcel.
Tax, so
Yes.
at least a 99-year lease, whatever, wouldn't suffice then, or what are those?
We have never done that way in the town of Goshen. We have never done it, not that, we've heard that people do it in other areas.
Hmm.
But no, we don't do subdivision, without having a real subdivision.
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that this thing happened, this thing's moving fast, and if we do see it come up, we're gonna get blindsided with it.
However, I understand they think it's gonna happen in October, but we have not done seeker yet, or have not completed seeker yet at the planning board. And I know that this is not due up on the September 18th, and there's still a question as to whether or not we're gonna have a meeting on October 8th, or 2nd rather. So we may not be having a meeting until October 16th.
And again, they're requesting the joint, public hearing with planning and zoning.
The planning board has not heard that request yet, but
They said that at the
I
meeting.
think they have.
All right,
have we heard that they want a joint meeting?
I think they said at the planning board.
Did they? I don't recall it. Did you recall it?
I don't,
It could be, you could be right, I
they were
wouldn't say.
they were trying to set it up, I know that, but there was the question of that October 2nd meeting, whether that was gonna happen or not.
Yeah,
I remember hearing it twice in 1 week.
okay, you could be right, I take it back.
Two other things that they brought up at the meeting, number 10, 6.5 Station Road is the Orange Hollow Rocket, property, remember that one? That is now a warehouse, and, they are looking to add 8,680 square feet, to the front of the building. And, it's currently a 30,000 square foot warehouse with 7,300 square feet of office space. The applicant, they said they're doing so well, they're growing, we love to hear it, that's great, but they need more space. That this, all for offices, the 8,600 square feet will be for offices. They go on to say that there will be no extra traffic. Now, on the one hand, they said they're growing the business, they're doing more and more, they need the space, and then they said there'll be no more traffic. Now, there's no privilege of the floor, and I can't speak at these meetings, so it's difficult for me to sit there on my hands, but immediately I'm saying, how do you mean there's not gonna be more traffic? The reason you're building this is because you're doing so well, which is good for you, but please don't tell me there's not gonna be more traffic. That said, I don't have a problem, me personally, I don't have a problem with the location, I don't have a problem with the addition. Don't tell me there's not gonna be more traffic, I don't know that it could be possibly, I need more explanation, I guess I'm saying, before this variance. And by the way, the variance, they need the variance because the code allows for 40,000 square foot maximum, and this would bring them to 47,906, or 48,000 square feet. So they'll be over by code, so that's the reason that they're asking
Where are
for
they
the
gonna
variance.
put the addition, in the parking lot?
Yeah, the front of the building is what they said. They didn't bring any pictures, they didn't bring any charts, they didn't bring a whole lot of substance, but this was the initial presentation. We may see this, just wanted you to be aware of it.
And that was on the second, which was the meeting that they only had 2 people,
Yes.
which means it really technically, legally was not a meeting.
Yeah, they did say they couldn't make any decisions, they didn't have a quorum, but since the applicants were there, they wanted the applicant to have an opportunity to make their presentations, and they allowed it.
So they're stating that it's just for office.
That's what they said, office only. What they, well, no, what,
You know, not for nothing, I could see it because the town of Goshen rents, what do they rent for their paperwork?
Iron
For storage?
Mountain, yeah.
It's not all here, and that's what Joe wants a bigger building for, to put all the storage back over here, all the paperwork back over here, so I could see them extending their office
okay,
for the storage of that big, I don't know.
no,
But I'm just saying, we all run out of room in office work.
So it does, I agree, but I somehow.
It adds up a lot.
Yeah, that much, I have to believe you have an extra employee or two doing something.
and they said no extra, and they,
Well,
the other thing is, they didn't say that they were, they have 30,000 square foot of warehouse, they did not say that the current 7,300 square feet of office space was gonna continue to be office space, or was that going to become warehouse? And again, there wasn't a lot of substance to this, but,
but if they got other locations, which we don't know,
Right.
maybe this is the main office that handles 4 or 5 locations, and
Yeah.
they need that space. Who knows?
yeah, no, and again, I didn't have a problem, I just want you to be aware that this was coming. The last one was, Ontaraga.
Oh my God, I was just sitting here saying, I'm gonna bring up Ontaroga, even when you were done.
This is Joe's,
No, this is, Ontaraga is the mansion,
oh, yeah.
supervisor owns the property
It
in
looks
front.
like a hot mess right now.
Well, they're clearing it, they made the presentation to say that they've been working on the property, they're trying to beautify it and clear it. The owner now owns the property, when they were in before, remember, they were gonna do an outdoor, venue, big tent, et cetera, that plan has gone away. Instead, this was a pretty lengthy, presentation they made, that the current mansion is 10,800 square feet. The zone allows for up to 5,000 square foot commercial in a residential area, so they need a variance to do that. Also, that they are going to add a ballroom. Now, at the presentation, they did not get the square footage of the ballroom, okay? but this will be a catering service business. It will have a transient water supply. The new construction will add on 16 rooms. The addition is a ballroom, and it'll be on the right side of the building. There will be an outdoor ceremony area, but no entertainment, so you do your wedding outside, but no bands playing or anything outside. And the applicant now owns the building. When they were here before, he was just in discussions. He now owns the building. This is on the agenda now for September 16th, another project coming on. Yes, so this is Franco's property. So this was a good presentation, but again, I found some holes in that. I'm saying, okay, you're asking for relief from the 5,000 square foot limitation, but you're not telling me how much you're actually building onto it. There's no discussion of traffic. There's plenty of room for parking, in that I think it's 114 acres, but none of that was discussed. I would imagine if it's on for 9/16, how is it the ERB hasn't been involved in that project?
It hasn't gone to the planning board at all for this,
So it's on for 9/16 zoning
for ZBA,
for the ZBA for the.
which should be technically the first presentation.
So they need to get the variance for the 5,000 square foot, then they can go to zoning?
No, somebody's gotta do seeker,
Okay,
okay? So somebody's gotta do seeker, so it's either gonna be the ZBA or the planning board, and whoever does it's gonna say, it's our intention to be lead agency. And then they're gonna notify all the other potential lead agencies, and somebody's gonna say, yes, it's mine, or no, it's yours, whatever.
So they're gonna get the variance before they go to the planning board then?
They can't get a variance until seeker is completed,
Oh, okay.
okay? And somebody's gonna do seeker, it's either gonna be the ZBA or it's gonna be the planning board. And at this point in time, I haven't heard anything. So at the meeting on the 16th, ZBA can say, all right, it's our intention to be the lead agency, and therefore, they'll notify the planning board, who's also gonna have to do site plan approval at least,
okay.
and
I
say,
think it's an exciting project.
I think it really is. My only concern is making this more non-compliant than it is. If they would have come in and say, we wanna use this entire place for the commercial, God bless you, go ahead and do it. But if you're gonna tell me you're gonna add another 5,000, 10,000 square feet to it, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
Well, they need a ballroom.
yes,
If they're
and,
going to do that sort of a venue, they're gonna need a ballroom.
But
yes.
I'm not sure what a ballroom entails, because it's been a long time since I've been in there. I was only in there 2 times in 20 years, so my recollection's not wonderful. But there was one room in there that was, I think, bigger than this room here. Not that this is a wonderful ballroom, and I don't know what you,
It's not big enough.
The pictures that they showed at the presentation, the addition, the ballroom is, to my recollection, is about it looked to be as big as the current mansion at 10,000
Mhm.
square foot. I mean, but so it's all one level, so you don't, it's just height wise.
It's all gonna be in the back then, if that's?
To the right, if you're looking at the current building, it'll be to the right, the
Really?
ballroom. That's what the picture showed. That can all change, this is just renderings.
What's it gonna do to the architecture of all that,
If you looked at the renderings, they were beautiful.
Okay.
But, and look, the applicant he makes beautiful buildings, but we know.
He's
his
got a lot of
buildings.
money, so he can afford to.
whatever it is,
Funny how that works,
he
right?
also has
Yeah.
another class.
Again, and, you know, I just want us to be aware that these projects, and to hear these applicants coming, and that presented as a very aggressive, application, like they wanna move on this quickly. As you pointed out, this is day one of 200, so I don't know really where they are. Has zoning ever actually declared the agency? I can't remember a project where they have.
No.
No, they could be, but they don't. Okay.
Yeah, theoretically, any agency that's involved can be,
So I just wanted us to be aware of these 3 projects that came through zoning, and I just felt like they're
They're on the rush, they're in a rush, I mean, they want it done.
right?
Oh, yeah.
It seemed coming
It's
fast.
such a beautiful addition.
something,
I mean, that building is,
I wish they were on our website, because the pictures were really, they're gorgeous, and, you know, he builds a very nice building. There is a neighborhood, you know, just to the side,
it's kind of so secluded though up there. And we have a
When
lot
they,
of
when he
space.
originally came and they wanted to put the big tent over on the side, my concern was, you're keeping the neighbors up every weekend, and that's not cool. Now they're saying, no, not an outdoor venue, this will be all indoors. Okay, you know what, now and like you, I would like to see the building utilized. It's a beautiful building, and it's a lot of property, and better that we.
It's the right place.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
better that we.
A lot of, I agree with everything you're saying, a lot of the property in the back was wetlands.
Wetland, it's
Yeah, I mean,
unusual.
it's probably over 50% wetlands.
But could it
Could
be, can it be engineered for parking and not building?
Still at the top, there, you can do a lot with it, and I hope they do something with it.
Yes.
The question is how much additional stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, the applicant is the same person who worked on Glenmire.
Glenmare?
He
They
said
did say,
that he worked.
they did say that they did work, but I don't think it
Oh,
was
maybe
the
that's the
applicant.
architect.
It was the architect, not the
Okay,
applicant.
yeah,
Mhm. Glenmare's beautiful.
so we'll see what it is when it comes in.
It's, it was a quiet summer.
Yes,
I was saying to Neil and I spoke,
They're on vacation, yeah, no.
this time last year, every planning, every zoning, there was 5 things going on, and we were having late meetings, and this year it seems to be much more quiet.
It's cause of me.
I think it's because November's coming,
Mm.
a lot of people gotta go out and make decisions,
Oh, yeah.
but we'll see.
Whatever it is.
Don't rock the boat, baby. No, but I like the projects. That was it for me.
Good. Anybody else have anything? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.